Hey, we are live. Well, to each other. Welcome to Spaghetti Podcast. But Spaghetti Podcast, man, we have
Wow.
different. Let me try this again. Welcome to the Spaghetti Junction Podcast. My name is Gareth,
My name is Bruce.
and we like to talk about things. We
We
just
just don't know
don't
where
know
it's
where they're gonna go.
gonna
What?
go.
You know what? I'm gonna give you a script
We just
because you
don't know
never.
where it's
No,
gonna.
we just don't know where they're gonna. So we talk about things. We just don't know where they're gonna go.
They.
There, yes, because
Very
it's
important. Very
things.
important. Very important word for today's conversation. They.
Shebang! By the way, this is episode 99. So
Wow.
if we do get cancelled, well, we almost hit 100. So it's been good, Bruce.
Winning.
Yeah, winners delight.
We
So
know
we
when.
actually, so we actually managed to get Bruce 1080p, and then he actually found out how easy it was to do, but he didn't set his camera properly. But now the Wi-Fi went down, and now he's back to squiggly. I think he's on 720, if he's lucky.
Still okay.
And I'm recording in my studio that I think I'm going to keep, otherwise known as my bedroom, my studio. But you can touch me in my studio. What? Okay, carrying on.
Well, considering today's conversation.
What? Touching in studios? I don't know. We're not. I have to say, dude, I'm gonna praise myself here before we get going. Just the color scheme is working. I mean, I'm just loving this color scheme that I have. Huh. You know, all the dark, the little white, and a little white.
Yeah. So is the
Ah,
podcast
just-
going to be? So is the podcast going to be Gareth admiring himself in his camera while I sit here?
Yeah, because I
Freeze
look
my
damn
ass off in Joburg.
sexy in 1080p. It gets coldish here. Night like the last few nights when I cycled, it was about 4 or 5 degrees.
Oh, geez, gotta love that wind chill factor. My word.
Oh yeah, the wind as well. It makes it really fun.
Okay, sure, all right. But how long? How far do you ride to go to?
Oh, I don't know, but
What?
it takes me about 15 minutes.
Okay,
It's a few Ks.
all right, cool.
Yeah, it's a few kilometers. I don't know, 3, 4, not sure.
Okay.
Wasn't that interesting? Finding out how far he drives, and that's the podcast.
So
Tell me before you say so. I'm just trying to work out. Oh, you already did. Damn it. I'm trying to work out this camera thing. If I'm looking in there, am I looking straight into your soul?
yes, and it's really freaking creepy. So don't do that shit.
Okay, I won't.
I like it when someone looks into my soul, but she'd better be a prop. But she needs to be a proper woman, not a pseudo woman, as pertaining.
Where are you going with this, Bruce?
No, she's got to have certain attributes for her to be allowed to look into my soul. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. We'll leave it there for now. We'll park that bus.
And she has certain attributes that I look for in order for me to look into her soul. See what I did there? Her.
You know what? Cancel.
Anyway.
So, the discussion. That's look, we're coming out, I think, pretty clear. Look, I mean, I think we do this well, and I've said it before. Bruce is just bang, and I try and okay, let me try and see some reasoning or any form of glimmer, just to make the conversation interesting. But yeah.
Gareth looks for the tiniest sliver.
I just look for anything.
Silver lining. And I'm like, the world is burning. Just let it burn. I don't care. The flames are getting higher. We're all gonna die. Let the bombs fall.
Exactly. So, the question that we're asking today is, what is not a woman? There has been, because I think we didn't want to get matched with, what was the last guy who did like a year ago? Matt Walsh.
Matt Walsh when he put out his documentary, What Is a
Oh,
Woman?
and that's done like 170 million views or something stupid.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't watched it, so I'm not. I don't know.
I haven't seen the whole thing, but I
Okay.
did watch quite a bit of it when it first came out. I found it on YouTube.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it was Matt just walking around and asking this question, and but he asked everybody. He asked women at feminist rallies. He asked gender reaffirming psychologists or whatever. He asked,
Yeah.
he would ask normal people on the street and just got their feedback. And he got the very sort of biological binary definitions, and then but he also got a lot of pushback, and he got a lot of got a lot of aggression back at him, saying that he just by asking the question, he's transphobic, he's misogynist, he's misogyny.
Okay.
He got pushback and he got support. So it was an interesting documentary, I must say.
Okay. Cool. Um, okay. So.
So
Um,
what is not a woman?
so I guess it's like, what is a woman? What is not a woman? I want to actually. Um, do
Just
it.
can I just say for the record that I am not a woman. I just want to just clarify things.
Yeah, no, that was definitely a question that many people had on for some sure, Bruce. I don't know. That's not really gonna. Anyways,
I just felt I needed to clarify.
you know what? I appreciate that.
Thank you. So do I.
So now I'm just gonna play. Ah, sorry. As you guys know, just working out all this freaking, all this sharing things, and I want to play you, and it's a minute clip basically.
Cool.
So what happened was, no, you cannot. I'm just want to change this setting quickly, so it looks a heck of a lot better. Okay, so sorry, I can't even see our screen right now. Ah, there you are, Bruce. So I'm just gonna play. It's like literally a minute and 10 seconds. It was in the where was this again? It was in the Supreme Court. In America. The American system, and this person called Senator Blackburn basically asked a nominee, for the, someone who wanted to be, approved to be within the Supreme Court. She asked her, please define what a woman is, and that it's a minute and like 10 seconds, but I thought it would be a great way to get us talking.
And does hilarity ensue?
Well, I don't know. This is up to you to decide.
Okay, cool.
But yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to share screen. Thank you so much. Just tell me if you can. Here we go. And then I'm wanting to do it. Can you see all that? Yeah? You good?
Yeah, it's coming up. It's loading.
Provide a definition.
Okay, tell me when it's up.
There we go.
You good? Right, here
Yeah.
we go. All right, let's have some interesting viewpoint from USA's government. There we go.
Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can.
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the
biologist.
meaning of the word woman is
Oh,
so
I know
unclear
this
and
girl. I know
controversial
this
that
chick.
you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
Right. Bruce.
Firstly, can I say that Mrs. Blackburn is a real cutie?
Oh, right.
The blonde lady asking the question, not the other one.
Okay,
Anyway.
let's carry on. Move on. Yes.
Yeah, that's a typical thing nowadays where people dodge a question instead of just giving a straight answer. I mean, this is a woman asking another woman, "What is a woman?"
Okay.
And I can't believe that. I mean, she obviously is a woman, but she's dodging. She just
Well,
dodges that question because she's not
Well,
wanting
the
to
bit.
offend anybody.
Well, offensive, exactly. But the one thing which she said, which I found quite amusing, is she says, "I'm not a biologist, so how do I know what a woman is?" So that I found very interesting. But yeah, I think people are too scared now to say, as in, because I'll give you definitions here of of this woman, and the dictionary one. I'm going to give you. So if you know, there is a dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary. So I'll just tell you. Here we go. So
You would expect this Cambridge Dictionary to have
it's pretty
proper,
clear.
proper definitions.
Okay, so so they have now added a new definition. The new definition of woman is an adult who lives and identifies as a female, even though they have been born as a different sex.
Jeez, nice of them to leave out the word male.
Ah,
Wow.
no. Hey, wait.
Oh, we're
No,
not done
because that's a woman. There isn't males spoken about there. The new definition of a man is an adult who lives and identifies as male, even though they might have been born as a different sex.
yet, even though they might have been born as
A different
female.
sex. And vice versa.
Yes, but that's all about the language, eh? Oh my.
Oh,
soul.
no, it's exactly all the language.
crazy.
I think people are very scared to...
So subtle. It's just. Wait a
But it's
second.
interesting how the, long standing, of what a woman is in the dictionary, is, I mean, it's...
Now it's all about identifying.
And now there's the Merriam-Webster. That hasn't changed. The they haven't changed at all.
Right.
It's known as an adult female person. That's how they put it. An adult female person.
Right. Or an adult
What is your
human-
view? What is your view, Bruce?
What is my view on what is a woman?
Well, on all of this, descriptions in the dictionary, like where do you, like what's
Yeah,
your reaction to all that?
Yeah, it's especially in the universities, and I can't believe some university like Cambridge, which is so sort of so renowned. You have Oxford, you have Cambridge, you have these amazing universities, but they're kind of just pandering to this, to the woke narrative now, and they're bending the knee to changing language, which and they're not saying no
Yeah.
to just this because everyone knows where I stand. I mean,
Yes.
my thing is
Where do you stand, Bruce?
that sex and gender are binary. There are only two of each.
Yeah.
I mean, there's one of each. Sorry, two. Ooh, sorry.
Two of each.
One of each. And that's
Okay.
and that's where I'm coming from. And then you just I hear so much of this language being changed, and when you I was actually thinking about this before the podcast. When you propagandize,
Propagandize. Nice.
yeah, big word
Yeah.
for a Friday, something that isn't true, eventually it becomes people start believing it as true. And you drum it into enough people for long enough, and it becomes the narrative, which is, and what George Orwell said was, if thought can corrupt language, then language can corrupt thought. So if someone has a thought in their head
Sure.
and they start verbalizing that thought, eventually, if their voice is loud enough and they have enough people agreeing with them, even though it's completely ridiculous, that then will become actual. People will believe that as truth. They'll just accept it.
Sure.
And it happened back in the late 1930s with a short little guy in Germany with a very funny mustache, and it resulted in World War II.
Okay, hold on.
You know?
I don't see how this equates.
No,
No,
because
really. Explain that to me before we get really cancelled.
because of Hitler's propaganda.
Yeah, but it's
How
not the
he-
same thing. It's so not the same thing. How you're describing it is it's like gonna blow up the world and everything. If you're linking him and the war from his propaganda, is completely different to this.
I'm
It's-
using. Maybe
Yeah,
it's
but
an
that's a
extreme- maybe
very-
it's an extreme example.
No, but that's a very. I'm sorry, but I can see comments right now. That's way too extreme. Because now what you're saying is that people, from transgenderism, from LGBTQ and blah blah blah, are now being linked to a world war. So I don't know.
I think it's just because when.
So
but,
I think
yeah,
you need to
maybe it
rather
was an
explain that better than that, because that's a bit
maybe it was an
dodgy.
extreme one, yeah. But
Maybe.
it's just because when it's just the whole thing with, a language or a narrative that just gets talked about and pushed so much. Maybe a general population just sort of start accepting it and just don't really think, oh, wait a second, maybe this isn't, maybe this isn't right, or they just kind of go along with it more than anything else. That's why I just feel that.
That's good.
That's
Feel
all.
away,
Sorry.
sir. Feel away,
Maybe,
sir.
yeah, maybe the Nazi Germany thing was a little extreme.
Maybe. God, you see, this is why I do my role in this podcast. Otherwise,
Yes.
that would have just been like. So we just want to readdress it, and it's got nothing to do with. I think Bruce has seen his ways, and it's a very strong point. But can we say a Spaghetti Junction podcast that was definitely not what you
We
intended?
don't we don't support Nazism and anything like that in this podcast.
Well, no, we don't. Not at all. What we're trying to say, Bruce, is that you know what? You're screwed. I can't save you. I can't save you.
It's okay. Yeah.
No, the point being that that is very extreme.
Yeah.
I think what you're trying to say is that you're concerned about the viewpoints and the intensity that this gender activism, and I want to imagine, I don't know
Correct.
if we can say woke as well, but definitely people. I think that there are people with the agenda and they're pushing it, like intensely.
Yes.
Like in the news, on people, on schools, on children.
Yes.
But there are also a lot of people who just identify with that and they just want to live the life that they can. I think
Yeah.
we need to separate the two.
Yeah. The thing that's always worrying for me is that, if we think about it, like, we see it coming at us all the time. So we think it's quite a large part of the world population, but it's actually still a very small
It is, yeah,
subset
it is.
of
It is.
over think about it, 8 billion people on the planet. But that's that tiny group has such a loud voice and has been allowed to wield such power that they can change laws of countries.
Sure.
And that to me just is concerning.
That's fair.
where the average person in the streets just wants to live their lives, but now could possibly be arrested for misgendering someone, kind of thing, because they didn't stand up and go.
Yeah, there was
Kind of thing. That's
yeah. I mean,
and say-
there's a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's a bunch of things like that, and where it shows your point. One of the I can't remember what school it was, and I think we've already chatted about it. But there was a school where one of the teachers was fired. So there were two stories. The one was about a teacher who basically got fired because he would not address certain pupils in his class, as like his, him, their, as in they identified as somebody
Pronouns.
else. Yeah.
Pronouns.
But and then another one got fired. Well, and it shows your point, because he said good morning. What did he say?
He
Good
said
morning.
good morning, boys and girls, didn't he?
Something. Yeah. Yeah, and there was some in the class who didn't identify with that, and then he basically got fired because he wouldn't, apologize, and and there's because it's like, well, I'm not a boy or a girl, or I'm a guy, but I'm a exactly. I want to place another clip in here because now I'm going along the lines very quickly as to how easy it is to identify as something. And also how comical sometimes the level that we have now gotten in the world where you can identify as almost nothing, or not almost
This
nothing.
is-
Where
yeah.
you can. So this is a lady called, and this has been a while ago, but her name is Rachel Dolezal, and she was involved in the NCAAP. She was involved in in fighting for African American rights, because she was African American. But actually, obviously, what came out of this was she actually was not. That she was identifying herself as it, so she just thought it was right that because she identified as an African American person, therefore she was one. And obviously, that's not true. And we're going to break into it. It's about a 2-minute clip. Stay focused and let's go on for the ride. My point with this is just to show sometimes it's really, you can identify yourself as someone as much as you want to. It still doesn't change the fact. So even though she said that she was African American, she wasn't. In her way, she believed it, she lived it. But the point is that she was not African American, no matter how hard she tried. That is why I would like to bring this up. This is just worth a good giggle and whatever the heck. All right, let's go.
Go for it.
Is it there? Hey?
Yeah, here we
Is
go.
it-
Yep.
Is it there? All right, let's go.
Rachel Dolezal, the white woman who passed herself off as black, is breaking her silence.
Are you an African American woman?
I identify as black.
Rachel appeared on the Today Show following her resignation as president of the Spokane, Washington NAACP.
When did it start?
I would say about 5 years old.
You began identifying yourself as African American?
I was drawing self-portraits with the brown crayon instead of the peach crayon, and the black, black curly hair, and that was how I was portraying myself.
You've changed your appearance. Your complexion appears darker than it did in the photos of you as a young lady. Have you done something to darken your complexion?
I certainly don't stay out of the sun.
She was also asked about why she once claimed that this man was her father instead of this man, her real father.
Why point out an African American man and say that is my father when you
That's
know
my
that
dad.
your father is a Caucasian man?
Any man can be a father, not every man can be a dad.
Her biological father had this to say.
That hurts deeply. How would you feel if your daughter did that to you?
I really don't see why they're in such a rush to whitewash some of the work that I have done
Whitewash.
and
Whitewash.
and how I've identified.
The late night comics are mining the
This is funny.
controversy for laughs.
This is funny.
Obviously, a lot of people are upset, especially her white friends who thought they had at least one black friend. They're like,
What are you telling me right now?
Her estranged parents told
so good, eh?
Edition they haven't seen Rachel in years.
Many of the things that she's done are not rational, would be considered not to be sane.
Freaking white people, I tell you.
They had one black friend.
I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy Kimmel, but that was funny.
That's not Jimmy Kimmel, so that's great.
Oh wait, who is that? That was
Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy
Flipping
Fallon.
white, but look at it, white people, they look the same, man.
Is that supposed to be funny? Because
Well,
it's
it's funny
not.
to me. It's funny to me.
Oh, well, that's okay then. So I just brought that in because, she identified as a black person, and she even, went to a point where her father, she said her father was a black person. But still, even though that she believed it from, I don't know, what did you say, like the age of 4 or 5,
Yeah.
Like she drew with the brown crayon instead of a peach crayon, like later on in life, she felt that she was, you can feel that there's nothing wrong about that. I don't know, you can, feel, like an affinity, for example. But the point with that one, which was funny in itself, I guess, but she, even though she believed to her heart's, like to every fiber of her being, that she identified as a black woman, she was not. Even though she even, changed her skin color a little bit, it still didn't change the underlying fact that she was a Caucasian woman.
Yeah, that's mental delusion on another level, because, and I mean, her poor parents.
Parents. Yeah.
It's almost like she disowned her father. I mean,
Pretty much.
Imagine how he feels.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes, I don't know.
But my point with all of that is it just showed that, as in, even though you identify something, it still doesn't change the fact.
Yeah.
So you mentioned, the whole thing of male is, what's it? X women are XX and men have XY chromosomes.
Correct.
Now there is a discussion that not everyone is born with either of them. I'm going to read you a little bit of an article, but this, just for, it has been a conversation. So, obviously, there are some people who are born intersex, which is basically, a person, born with atypical genetics or biological, sex characteristics. There's a thing called, and I probably will say it wrong, Klinefelter syndrome. So some males are born with XXY chromosomes. Some females are born with only one X chromosome, which is called the Turner syndrome. And some women over or underproduce sex-related hormones. And others might be born without a vagina, which is vaginal agenesis. And then there was a view that, because these variations exist, it's argued that being female can't be as simple as having XX chromosomes or possessing organs like uterus and ovaries. That was a conversation. Carry on.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Yeah. Look, I do not deny that, yes, certain people are born with sort of these anomalies, and there's sometimes people are called hermaphrodites if they got born with maybe both sets of genitalia and all that kind of thing. It is completely real. That's not delusional at all. Some people, it just happens sometimes.
Correct. Yeah.
But that is probably the tiniest of the tiny percentage of that. And I think maybe
it's very minor.
And I think is maybe used as a way to say maybe that it's more prevalent than it actually is.
No, exactly. It's a very minor part of the population.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's
yes.
Tiny. and exactly, and this is not even the point that was even, that's not even part of the conversation really. Someone wrote, so like linked with this article, they, their viewpoint, and this is kind of, I guess, controversial. Well, not I guess, it is a controversial one, but it makes sense to us. A woman is an adult human whose body is organized around two related functions: the production, storage. Okay, this sounds very clean cut, but I'm not trying to make a point. Okay, so a woman is. Yeah, pretty much that's what I was saying. Their body is organized. The production, storage, and delivery of eggs, and the gestation of another human being. A man, in similar ways, an adult human whose body is organized around the production, storage, and delivery of sperm. Now, obviously, this is a bit, like clean cuts and has no feelings to it. But I think that's a valid viewpoint. I don't know. What do you think?
You talk about clean cut and no feelings involved.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it needs to be.
Yeah.
Like you just said, you can't be white and feel and become black just because you feel like you're black.
Yeah, you identify as it. Yeah.
This is what, and this is what I was thinking about this the other day, and this is where this kind of viewpoint is apparently now controversial. There's male, and there's female, and there's feelings and emotions in between. That's all it is. It's a gray area of feelings and emotions. But you've got something there that's correct.
Yeah.
Something there that's correct. But there's that gray area that's now being navigated in between. And stating a biological fact like that is enough to get you into trouble sometimes in certain places, certain cities, certain areas, certain universities. That's where we are, where the language is being changed.
Now there's a conversation that tries and opposes that. So something else comes up.
There is.
Oh, there always is. But now this is interesting. So now, even though this is what sounds clear cut, there's then an offshoot of people saying, well, some people cannot produce sperm or eggs, either because they are intersex or they've had the relevant organs removed. But this does nothing to nullify. This does nothing to nullify our understanding that there are only two sexes. It just means they're born with or have had a change to their body that prohibits the development of their male or female sex organs. It doesn't mean they represent another sex. This was so now this this then goes another branch that says if a person is born without a leg, that wouldn't declassify humans as bipedal. Well, it's bipedal, which is basically walking.
Bipedal.
What? Oh, yeah, no, you're right. So if a person is born without a leg, that wouldn't declassify humans as bipedal, which is walking two legs. It just means that an individual person was born with an anomaly, one leg instead of two.
Yeah, there you go. But I think this whole thing of identifying that's why it's so ridiculous, because it's completely fine to identify as a different sex or different gender, but like we saw with this lady who identified as a different race, but you can't do that. But no, if you can identify as a different sex or gender, you should be able to identify as a different race, because apparently we should all be inclusive. So that's where you see the ridiculousness is of all the thought patterns, because like if you feel a certain way, that should be how you live your life. But a lot of people who belong to other races will be very offended.
Of course.
If a white person walked in and went, I identify as black, they'd be like, no, you don't. You're white. Go away.
Yeah. Well, that's how she got found out, and she lost like everything after that.
Exactly. So why is it that you can identify as certain sex or gender, but you can't identify as race.
So there's another person. Name is Emil Rattleband. Basically, he's a 69-year-old, Dutch TV personality. He decided to identify as a 49-year-old and demanded the courts change his legal age. Now, obviously,
Age
so-
identification.
yeah. So no amount of sincerity, hormones, or surgical intervention can make him younger. Says this article. He can make cosmetic changes to his body. Now, if you're looking, so listen to this as if we're also talking about males identifying as women. He can make cosmetic changes to his body, that make him look younger, or like in our conversation, that makes him look more like a woman, but he'll never become a woman. Now, this age thing, obviously, that's because age is a biological reality, and in the same way, a person's sex is a biological reality that can never be changed. A man can make cosmetic changes to his body to make him look like a woman, but this viewpoint here is, but he'll never become a woman.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah. So this is why I don't really bother about, sort of pulling my punches or not being afraid of saying things, because it just has become so ridiculous. And it's like, yeah, it's just gone way too extreme. And it's just like, well, how can we take you seriously when all we see is this sort of these extreme expressions? It's like, well, I'm sorry. You look at that kind of thing, and it's just like, well, I can't take, like, they have an agenda. They have these things that they're trying to do, but I think the normal average people in the streets are kind of getting over it, I think.
Who is the they that you were talking about?
No, I mean people trying to push ideologies, woke ideologies in there.
Okay.
It's almost become like a caricature.
Okay.
If it was all like, if these things were brought about in a much more sort of maybe more rational and what's the word? Sort of less extreme way. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Or like less aggressive.
Less aggressive, yes. Then you could maybe go, okay, maybe we can maybe make a case for you, and we can be happy to listen to you. But
now that's a good way.
It was so aggressive, and it is continuing to be aggressive, that and people and governments and people in power in I hate to say it, but in the first world countries haven't said no. They haven't said, wait, hold on a sec, let's just talk about this. It's just the flood just happened, and now it's like it's just and sorry, I'm not articulating myself very well at the moment.
No, I do see what you're saying. I think because we've got to wrap it up, but I think what you're trying to say is that we don't, even though through our long conversations, that it's like anti I don't know, LGBTQ or anti genderism. Your point, which actually ties things up nicely, is that it's the more extreme, aggressive side that are trying to push their view like heavily into
Correct.
schools and media and all that kind of stuff. That's a problem.
Correct.
That's the one sector. So it's not everybody. To me, be who you are. If you want to identify yourself as somebody else, well, that's for you. You know, we may not go, we agree, but that's not the issue. I think where you're going is with a more aggressive stance that minority has.
Correct. And I'm also, look, okay, fine. Maybe in this podcast, definitely in this podcast, I made a couple of fairly extreme statements that some people might take offense. But I definitely lean more towards sort of libertarian views. So not liberal, but libertarian, where it's like you're free to live your life however you like.
Yeah.
If you want to believe that certain things and you want to dress in a certain way and be one way but think you're something else, you are absolutely free to do that. You know,
For sure. Yeah.
but the problem comes when you take those beliefs and those ideologies and you come and then you try and shove them down my throat and tell me that I have no choice but to align myself with that. That is where we're going to have a problem, and that is where not enough people in power in certain countries, they have not said no to that. They've just sort of bowed the knee and given those people power with going, wait a second, let's just sit down and have a rational conversation about this. I don't quite like what you're saying, but let's talk about this and decide, okay, yes or no. They just went, oh, yes, because we don't want to offend people and we want to be all inclusive. And that is tolerance. Tolerance is good, but there is such a thing as too much. There can be such a thing as too much tolerance. And you have to sort of balance that out. You know, if we had tolerance for everything, we wouldn't have laws. You know, people would just be able to run around like freaking animals.
Yeah.
You know, so they preach tolerance and inclusivity, which I get, but it can go to an extreme that is also that is just concerning. So. That's fine.
Well, we're going to wrap it there. But what I do like about our conversations, I think if people have watched us enough, is that how it ends, it basically ties things up, and people, it's like intensity, which is great. But then we actually end it in a healthy way, if that makes sense. Your points at the end are good. As we're saying, it's just that minority that tries to make everybody believe what they believe, and if you don't like it, well, tough on you, kind of thing.
And the concern is that they've been allowed to wield way too much power, which is why we're seeing this in such big numbers and whatever. And it's where it's gone into sports, it's gone into beauty contests, it's gone into everything. It's just this
beauty contest. Sorry, as we wrap up,
yes,
bring it up quickly, but we have to stop.
The Mr. Netherlands contest instead of the Miss Netherlands contest.
I don't know how that doesn't make any description to people who don't know what you're talking about.
So we had a biological male won the Miss Netherlands beauty contest.
Yeah, because he identified as a woman, and he was, I think it was transgender, I think, something along those lines.
You know what the scary thing is at first glance?
No, it's pretty.
He looks like a really hot chick. But
exactly. You wouldn't know.
Then you're like, hold on. Something's not quite
right. So the problem was that, is that if someone can win a beauty pageant for women, and then will also be representing her country in like Miss World. Imagine that person won the Miss World, just wiped out like every other woman in the from each country and they somehow did it, but they're not actually women. It's also 50 seconds.
It's cool. Cool.
So we have literally 45 seconds before my camera probably goes off.
Oh yeah.
So
okay.
Spit it out.
One last point. For people out there, I just have to ask. With all this stuff, I don't see many feminists getting up in arms about women, about men getting into all of these women's spaces. So that's my last thing. It's just
all right.
Feminism has been a bit silent.
And then in the World Cup in Canada, they had the first transgender player, which also makes a question. It's a women's World Cup. No matter what you identify yourself as, what we're seeing is you're still. It's Anyways, let's leave it on that one.
Cool.
It's been good, Bruce. It's been good to get this going again. I'm really happy that we're doing this again.
I'm sure we'll be chatting about this subject a little bit more.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to comments. People, please take time to write your comments. I love reading them.
Cool.
We love reading them. No, this is just an open conversation,
Like it.
and we wrapped it up pretty well, Bruce. So thank you. You max it up nicely. All right. Why don't we talk? We have another discussion probably for next week, don't we? That's something to do with music and wokeness, but we'll just leave it at that.
Oh yes, we had that. That was a cool idea. I'm keen for that.
Okay, great. Well, we'll do that next week, guys. We're not going to tell you much more about it, but it involves music and wokeness, which is always a fun combination.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Bruce, thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
We got a little bit longer, but you know what?
It's okay.
We can. Yeah. You have a good week, and everyone watching. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for being a part of our journey. If you agree with us or not,
it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay to disagree.
Yes, because you might be wrong, but we'll still accept it. Subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff, Bruce.
Awesome.
Like, subscribe, leave comments, share. But we actually do mean it, guys. Leave a comment. And you haven't subscribed yet, and the notification button is very important, just so you know that we're bringing out new things every week. On that, Bruce, this is saying goodbye. And my camera has actually lasted for 46 minutes, so I'm very proud of this system so far. And let's hope that your Wi-Fi will be better next week. All right, boy.
Cool, guys.
You have a good one.
You too,
and
man.
we shall see you next week.
Okay.
Okay. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Bye.
Bye. This is where I press end recording, don't I? Hey. Yeah. Let's try that again. Bye.